Welcome back to the Human Nexus podcast. My name is Andrew Brazis. I am a marketing professional and private chef.
Welcome back. My name is Miss Laura Machiste. I am an online tarot reader, holistic massage therapist, and energy coach. And today we are talking about dreams, interpreting them, as well as their connection to our subconscious daily life and all things that we want to go over our dreams. So do you want to start, Andrew? Do you have anything right
Yeah,
on
I
top of your brain?
I think right off the top, I just wanted to ask you I guess how you got started in dream interpretation. Was that something that I think you utilize, right?
Yeah, so all of my life, like before I even knew about spirituality or like anything like that, because I grew up Christian, I think it
Hmm.
is. I don't know, Catholic, Christian, they just confuse me of which one is which. But I grew up like that, and I always had these weird dreams. I would see people, I would hear things. They were very, very vivid. And it's so interesting too that we're talking about this now because when I was driving home before, I see certain settings in my dreams that like are similar settings to like where I live or places that I've been, but there are things that like are different or like the buildings are different. But
Hmm.
like there's like a YMCA in my town that I went to preschool there, and in my dream, like I can tell when I'm around this YMCA. So like it's just really weird. But I've always had really weird dreams, and that's actually what opened the door to spirituality for me because I was having like premonition dreams where I would have a conversation or I would get a text message. And that's another thing that I would like to debunk right now because I get those videos all the time where people are like, you cannot read in your dreams or phones don't exist in dreams. You know how many times I've been on a phone in my dreams before?
Really? I still have, to my knowledge and my memory, I don't have any phone experience in dreams. None.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had dreams of like people calling me, people texting me. I've had dreams of being in other people's phones and seeing things.
So here's the weird thing. I will have like a phone call and I'll like have something, but it's not like it's not a cell phone. Like I'm not like getting text messages. I'm not like scrolling. It's like there's a device and I listen to it type of thing.
Like you're
You
not
know?
reading it.
Right.
Okay. So my other thing with phones would be that whenever I'm in like a dream that like something not so great is happening,
Mhm.
I'll find the phone and it's usually like one of those like old school-ish phones, like a landline phone, I guess you could
Mhm.
call it, which is crazy that landlines are old school phones now. But it would be a landline phone and I would try to click the numbers like 911 to like call the police like if something was happening. And I can never ever press the buttons. I can never like
Interesting.
whenever I go to press it, it's like 912, 9123, 917, and I'm like, no, I need 911. And in my dreams, I never successfully call the police when like something is happening. But I find the phone and I dial, but I never can get it. It's so that's
What do
like
you,
one of the things
so
I remember.
What do you think that means? Like going into dream interpretation and like diving into the subconscious, like what do you think your subconscious self is trying to tell you?
I think my subconscious is trying to tell me that there could be times where I have more fear than I need to have. That's what I think it could be, where something could be like over feared in my energy that maybe doesn't really need that much fear.
Yeah.
And when I do actually go to press 911 and I never can get it, it's almost like my subconscious saying it's because like you don't need it because you're not actually in danger.
Hmm.
So even in my dream, I feel like we're in danger, but that's what I feel like my subconscious is giving on those ones.
That's very interesting. And I mean, it's important too, because I think the subconscious like our dreams are basically the subconscious is playing out our life, right?
Right.
Is there any sort of practices that you use that, I don't know, like navigate your life through dreams?
So I will write them down if I
Mm.
feel like like when they feel like a movie, when I feel
Mm.
like I'm like living in it, when I can remember it when I wake up and it stays with me throughout the day. I'll write those ones down because usually it's probably of some importance. But for example, something that just recently happened to me was, long story short, I was seeing somebody and then not seeing them in like the physical world. And I wasn't really sure in my analytical mind, like, okay, like, should I just, focus on that and wait? Or should I just like keep my options open? Or should I do this? Or should I do that? And there was somebody that I would see at the gym. And whenever I saw this person at the gym, I was taken aback by their like presence. Like I can't even explain it. It was just kind of like I had a feeling whenever I saw this person. I wasn't even thinking anything. I just had like this feeling. And I had a dream a couple days after I had that moment of like, all right, should I wait around? Should I just keep doing what
Hmm.
I'm doing? Or should I actually like actively keep my options open of life? And I had a dream, and that person at the gym that I feel this like presence around, and I can't, I don't know if it's like positive or negative. I just feel something.
Yeah.
And they were in my dream. I was in the gym and they walked up to me and they told me, keep your options open. And I was like, oh my God, that was what I was
That's cr
wondering
Yeah,
in
that's
daily life.
crazy. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, did I feel that way because I knew that my spirit team was going to use this person's persona to deliver a message? Like sometimes it's not like as like, oh my God, that person must be super important or this, that, and the
Hmm.
other. And I didn't really know why I felt that way in general. But then when I had that dream and they used that individual, I was like, is that why? Or does that mean something for that person? But I just take it as like an even playing field of like,
Hmm.
could be whatever it is. But I got an answer
Yeah.
of what I was wondering about of life. So that was cool.
No, that's really, really cool. And then like as far as I mean, have you had a similar energetic feeling there in the gym with this person?
I don't think so. Not after
Yeah.
the dream,
Interesting.
actually.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, no, because I've seen that person before
Hmm.
after the fact, and I didn't have that same like, it was almost like when they walked by me, like even if I was looking down, like using a machine, like I could feel their presence and I would look up.
Hmm.
But no, the recent time that I've gone and that person has been there, I have not felt that. So that is a very good question to ask. So it's probably a deliverance of message.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you're probably gonna be like, maybe not, but like fixated on it
Right.
now, like when you go in. But I really think like dreams help us navigate waking life. And I
Hmm.
think, like in your case, you had this energetic pull to a person, or pull, maybe it's not the right word, but once you had that, your subconscious is interpreting that person now as like a catalyst, or
Right.
yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah. That is such a good question to ask because now when I do see that person at the gym again, now I'm going to have that
Mhm.
like awareness of like, okay, wait, hold on. Is that feeling gone? It was almost like they were walking with a fan. And whenever they
Mhm.
walked by, I could feel a breeze or something. It's just weird.
That's super weird.
But they weren't walking with anything though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and do you know the person?
No,
Okay,
I
so
don't at all.
basically a stranger. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I thought it was weird. And I even thought it was weird when I did feel that way before I had the dream.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, what's going on? So that was weird. Yeah. And I feel like, so I'm also a Pisces. So we rule the dream state, but I'm also
Mhm.
a Pisces sun in the 12th house. So, like, when I was born, the Pisces sun was in the 12th house
Mhm.
astrologically. So I'm like double subconscious there, to where the 12th house for everybody rules your subconscious realm. And I actually do a lot of studying and researching about the subconscious. And actually, I think I said this in a reading not that long ago, is before you go to sleep, your subconscious is easily most imprinted on. So
Mhm.
before you go to sleep and you're fearing about something, you may have a dream about it, or you may find that it happens a couple days later and it's like, wait, that was weird that I thought that. Now, is it psychic or is it creation? Is your subconscious just mirroring what you're giving it and then it becomes highlighted in your life? Or, all the spiritual teachings that I watch and read or listen to, they do say, your subconscious does mirror your reality. And
Mhm.
changing your subconscious is hard because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And for example, like another example, I actually just had this dream last night. I'm going away at the end of the month. And the last time I did something with this group of with these two friends, we drove all the way to like a different state. I mean, I live in the tri-state area, so like driving to New York, like it's kind of normal for people around here, but if you were to drive to a different state and you live in a different state, it feels different. Anyways, maybe it took us like 45 minutes to get there, but basically we went somewhere in New York and when we got there, my one friend forgot her ID at home. So me and my other friend were kind of like, all right, well, we all came together. Like, what are we going to do here? So we just like left and all three of us just didn't go instead. So I'm going on a trip with these same people. So last night I had a dream. It was me that happened in the dream because
Mhm.
your dreams are most likely going to use you. That I forgot my passport and I couldn't go to like the
Interesting.
island they were going to bring us to. So I actually ended up texting the friend that forgot her ID the last time, and I was like, "Oh my god, I had a dream that I forgot my passport and I couldn't go to Belize, like this, that, and the other." And she's like, "Oh my god, we have to all remember to make sure we have everything." And I was like, yeah, that's a subconscious fear playing out in my brain
Yeah,
that I'm
absolutely.
fearful of. We're going to fly all the way down to Florida. We're going to get on this cruise ship, and one of us isn't going to have. And like at that point, a whole vacation is not going to be ended for one person. So that one person
Yeah.
that forgets, they're going to have to fly back home. So I could tell that that moment imprinted in my subconscious and became a fear of mine.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like minimal things like that, but then sometimes it's like bigger things. So I feel like writing them down or remembering them or telling somebody, like I tell people my dreams because I'm like, at least I have a witness,
Yeah.
in case it happens.
See, I write them down. So when I've always had like crazy vivid dreams. And there was a time when I was very young, but I would keep having deja vu. So I would have dreams of places that I haven't been or with people I haven't met. And then I would have a dream about a scenario about a person or whatever. And then a month or a year later, I would see a person in a place that was identical to that dream. And I was like, oh shit. So I started writing these things down. And this has kind of happened, I mean, throughout my entire life. And so writing them down or like getting them out it's so important. Like you have to share it. I don't know about like telling people. I feel like most of my dreams are like super vulnerable. So it's hard to be like just sharing that with whoever. But yeah, I think telling people about dreams are or not, I mean, getting it out there in one way or another is
Right. So actually, damn, just talking about this, I got all these things coming to my brain. So I was part of a big friend group a couple
mm,
of maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, right? The friend group, like somebody kind of just like strayed away. One of the people still stayed friends with her, but then all of us else just kind of like was like, okay, whatever. And the one person that stayed friends with her actually got proposed to and is planning to get married. But before she got proposed to, I kept having these dreams where I was throwing a party or there was a party happening. And
mm,
this girl that strayed away from our friend group was there. And in the dream, I would be like, conscious and I'd be like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not friends with any of us anymore. Like, why are you here? So I wonder if my dream was saying there's gonna be an event where you are all around each other again, because then a couple weeks or months or so on later, the girl who still stayed connected to everybody got engaged, and obviously, she's gonna invite all those
yeah.
people. But sometimes it could be like metaphoric, and I feel
Mhm.
like even though that one was kind of like I feel like there are like mixtures of things. Like that one was like kind of premonition-y, kind
Well,
of.
it's also like your subconscious is preparing you for something that maybe you don't feel like you're consciously prepared for. Like whether it's seeing like an old friend that you don't vibe with or whatever. But like
Right.
I know Carl Jung had a whole thing about how like we process those things in our subconscious through our dreams. So I mean, it's probably a little bit of everything in that
Yeah.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's some dreams I have that are a mixture of a bunch of different things, like
Mhm.
sort of premonition, sort of a subconscious fear, sort of a you might need to work through this or some, or we're just bringing it up, or this is a metaphor. Because in all technicality, it wouldn't be my party. And in my
Mhm.
dreams, it was always my event or my party. And that's why I was kind of like, well, why are you here? Type of thing. But it was metaphoric because it technically isn't going to be my event, but it is going to be somebody that I'm close to that probably I'll be in like the wedding party with this other person. So I feel like there is a mixture of what they are, which is then back to why it's so good to write them down
Mhm.
because they are probably going to be different each time depending on where you are, what you're doing, or what you're focusing on. Because I notice a lot of the times too, when I'm focusing on something subconsciously or maybe in like the back of my mind, I'll have a dream about it of some type of clarity or some type of something is happening that has to do with
Yeah.
it.
I would kind of like relate it to tarot a little bit, like going back to writing it down, because like when you read tarot, it's like the energy, it's not like overly specific.
Mm.
And I feel like dreams, for me at least in most cases, aren't overly specific. It's like here's a person place, and that place could be like, I don't know, like I think of like a Inception where it's like buildings are sideways and like growing out of each other and like none of it makes any fucking sense. And but like the idea of that space and like the environment and the things that are happening are like kind of premonition like because they play out in the future maybe. So like, yeah, like treating it like an energy thing and not being like super so specific on what's happening or like all the minute details. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And some people don't have dreams at all, which I think is also really
Yeah.
interesting. But I feel like I am always conscious. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I'm awake when I'm sleeping, and I feel like I'm awake when I'm awake.
Yeah, same.
Like unless I'm like in that maybe like deep REM mode between like a couple hours after you fall asleep to like
Hmm.
right when you hit that dream state when because you know dreams are usually before you wake up. So technically they happened that night, but they really kind of happened in the morning, which is why they say that your subconscious is best imprinted when you first wake up and when you first go to sleep. So a lot of times, like with my energy work clients, when I see them for the first time, I give them like homework.
Hmm.
So their homework after the first session is I need them to write down what their first thought is when they wake up. And I don't care what it is. I just need it to be written down. Because when you go to sleep, type of thing, it's not as easy because you're like, all right,
Yeah.
well, I'm drifting into bed. But when you first wake up ready to be conscious, it's easier to remember, like, oh, okay, that girl told me to write this down.
Hmm.
So most of the time, I would say, unless you do mental practices, like 80% of the time, people's first thought of waking up is either something that is self critical, something from a scarcity mindset, something that has to do with stress. So, if you are one of those people and you're like, yeah, well, I want to figure out how to shift my subconscious a bit and like work through this type of stuff, you will figure out where it's working from, where what keeps you up when you're trying to fall asleep, like what thoughts, and what's the first thought when you wake up.
So I have a few things to add to that. The first thing is in the evening, a practice that I've done. I don't do it every day. I try to, but some days I just, just fall asleep. But it's going through my day backwards. I don't know where I read this at, but it's not an original thought. I got it from somewhere. But like unpacking the day, essentially, like right before bed, has been really helpful falling asleep and staying asleep. But the other thing is what I learned from my psychic mentor, Barbara. She said that if you're trying to create like premonitional dreams to this is kind of weird, but basically set an alarm or wake up a couple of hours before you're going to get out of bed. And then that 2 hour, 3 hour window of sleep time in between, like when you should actually be up, you have like the most activated. I don't know what the language is, but like that's where the premonition dreams typically occur. And so if I'm like if I'm seeking something like I don't know, an answer to a problem or just a conflict that I'm trying to get through or get out of, I will set up a day to do that. And like I always get something. I always get an answer, which is insane. And it's not always like black and white, but it's enough to be like, oh, I know my next move or my next direction. And yeah, so that's just a nice little practice that's worked for me.
Yeah, that's so interesting to like connect it to the fact of like my experience, it usually is when I first wake up. So that makes so much sense as to Barbara giving that. And that may even make more sense as well. Cause like I used to be a really big oversleeper. Like I just
Mhm.
loved sleeping in. Like,
So,
and I would put an alarm for like 8:30, and I would
mhm,
just snooze it and snooze it and snooze it. And usually between that time of like 8:30 to like whenever I decided to actually get up, I'd be in and out of dreaming and just like you ever like wake up and then you go back to sleep and you're still in the same dream that you were in? I used to do
mhm,
that like all the time. And sometimes I would stay asleep because I wanted to know what was going to happen next. And I'm like, wait, no, hold on. This is just the subconscious world. Like, we got to wake up for real.
mhm. Yep, been there.
Yeah.
Um, what about this is kind of going out of dreamer interpretation a little bit, but have you ever intentionally tried to lucid dream?
Nah,
No?
because I used to have like night terrors in the past where I was
Uh,
like kind of like not in my body. I
mhm.
kind of just don't even try. I
Yeah,
never even tried to have any other types of dreams either. I was just going to sleep.
yeah. Well, I mean, maybe not for you, but I love lucid dreaming. Like being able to be in a dream environment and then feeling like you have some control, like you're awake inside of your dream. For those of you who are listening who don't know what lucid dreaming is, it's like having a playground in your brain, but you're sleeping.
And for somebody watching that would want to do that, like how do they
Mhm.
do that?
So the trick that I said earlier about kind of clearing your mind before bed, like getting out of going through the day and like categorizing that out helps. I've found that just like any sort of normal breathing meditation focus helps a lot. There's tons of YouTube channels that'll like do guided lucid dreaming, meditation, sleep, whatever. Most of those work pretty well. And my favorite one is what I had said earlier about setting an alarm early and then setting intentional time to like, I don't know, go back to sleep before you wake up, which that sounds kind of weird. But if you do that with the intent to lucid dream, I think for me, it's pretty common. It's pretty easy. Like once you get
So
through
it's
your
just the
own fears.
intention. It's just the
Hmm.
intention to do so.
Yeah. And well, that, and then I think awareness. I think at this point, I mean, I'm sure you've had this, but like you've had moments where you're dreaming and you're like in the dream, you're like, oh shit, this is a dream. Like there's something that happens that you realize it's a dream. I think figuring out subconsciously or consciously how you can spot that in dreams and like just being aware. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like once you do it a few times, it's like, oh, I don't know. It becomes pretty easy with practice.
So am I always lucid dreaming then? Because I feel like I'm always conscious that I'm dreaming,
I mean, I think
but I can't control it.
if you're, have you tried? Have you tried to like, I don't know.
No.
Like for example, you started off with the phone dialing, right? And you're like, in that scenario, all you want to do is just dial 911, right? So if that was me having that dream and I became aware that I was dreaming, I would try to do something to like break that cycle. So I would like throw the phone off the wall or I would hit nine intentionally just to see. And then you can kind of like snowball it from there.
Right, right. Okay, we'll try that next time.
Tell me
Try
if it
that.
works. It's
Yeah.
really it sounds really weird, but I mean it works for me. So if that matters at all, I don't know.
Yeah, and we're getting closer and closer to the veil being thinner. A
Mhm,
lot of the times people indicate that when we get closer to like Halloween and Scorpio season, which we will be talking about next episode. But I feel like when these types of times happen as well, I do get more dreams of like passed on loved ones and stuff like
mhm,
that, which definitely coincides with like time of the year vibe. But that's another thing too. Like if I really feel like I need a message from somebody that's not physically here anymore, I'll like light a candle for them or like intentionally fall asleep, like hoping for the visitation.
mhm.
And a lot of the times it does happen.
Yeah, that's good practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I think it's really important if people are interested in dreams to get a dream interpretation book. There are tons. I don't think there's really a bad one, but like just really being conscious and aware of what you're dreaming and then journaling on top of that. If you're doing those things, I think you're gonna pretty quickly realize like ways to use it to help your day to day and just make better decisions and choices, or at least feel more at ease in your life.
Yeah. I feel like having that, like a book or something like that, is really important, as well as, like just using the tools you already have. Like the internet is free.
Mhm.
So, like looking up things that, like, in a spiritual meaning sense, will be beneficial. Like whenever you see water in your dreams, that is subconscious, that is emotion.
Mhm.
So there are like certain signs and symbolisms and certain like elements that connect to like why you are seeing something in your dream. Like not the first time, but like one of the times that I actually did get into like an physical altercation with somebody, like back in the day. I had a dream with them before it, and the town was on fire. So
Mhm.
fire, anger,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So the
Yeah.
elements are there for sure.
Yeah. It's important. Watch your
Yeah.
dreams. And comment below if you guys have any weird dream experiences. Would love to hear about them.
Yes, let us know, and maybe what you do to connect to your dreams, interpret them, and or figure things out from your subconscious. Like I said, next episode we are going to talk about Scorpio season, and the we'll throw in a little bit of stuff there, Halloween, talk about the eighth house energy of Scorpio and stuff like that. So thank you all for being here and for watching.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.